Venezuela is not surrendering and has refused Trump's demand to hand over control of the country. Venezuela's military has addressed the nation, stating that they will fight the United States and will not let it gain control of the country. This was also said by the vice president, who is now the president. Rodriguez, who has rejected handing over the country or working with the United States, has vowed to fight. Trump has said if she does not hand over control or obey him, as he said, second strikes will follow, and the consequences will be worse. They are also demanding Maduro be returned immediately and saying that their 4.5 million man reserve army is already activated. Trump made it clear yesterday at the press conference that Venezuela does not comply, which they're not. America will have to go in. Just taking the president has done nothing, and the government and military are still behind the political party. It is pretty simple. If the Venezuelan government does not give in to the United States, the U.S. will have to go in and take out the military. Comment your thoughts below.
President Trump has crossed a serious red line by threatening military action against Iran at a moment when its leadership is under mounting pressure at home. For more than 8 days, Iran has been shaken by a nationwide uprising, spreading to over 100 cities. What began as protests over economic collapse has quickly escalated into open demands for regime change. Iran's economy is unraveling. The currency has fallen to historic lows. Businesses are closing, and authorities are responding with force. Security units have fired on protesters, carried out mass arrests, and restricted internet access in an effort to contain the unrest. In response, President Donald Trump issued an unprecedented warning, stating that if Iran continues killing peaceful demonstrators, the United States is locked and loaded and prepared to intervene. This marks the first time a U.S. president has openly threatened Iran with military action over internal repression rather than its nuclear program. At the same time, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has suggested that Israel may launch new strikes in 2026 to prevent Iran from rebuilding its missile or nuclear capabilities after last year's conflict. Iran's leadership has rejected all foreign threats, warning that any intervention will be met with force. As security deployments grow and tensions rise, one question looms: will Iran face the same fate as Venezuela or spiral into an Iraq-scale disaster?
After Venezuela. Now who's next? There's a sharp rise in tension between Washington and Bogota. It started after the U.S. increased military pressure in the region, especially after actions in Venezuela. Some U.S. political leaders began attacking Colombia's government, accusing it of failing to stop drug trafficking and criminal networks. And then the language changed. Instead of talking about cooperation, they started talking about taking action and even hinted at military options. That's when people began asking, is Colombia becoming the next target? Here's why Colombia matters to the U.S. Colombia sits in a critical location in South America. It borders Venezuela, it connects South America to Central America, and it controls key routes used for drugs, migration, and trade. From a U.S. point of view, whoever has influence over Colombia controls a huge part of regional security. Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, responded to U.S. threats by saying he would defend Colombia by force if necessary. That turned political tension into open confrontation. Right now, the U.S. is treating Colombia more like a security problem than a normal ally.
Chinese and Iranian warships have anchored off South Africa ahead of a joint naval exercise led by Beijing, raising concerns about China's expanding military influence and growing diplomatic friction with the United States. Critics argue the drill undercuts regional stability and signals China's increasing use of military alliances to challenge the West, straining Pretoria's relations with its Western partners.
Iran is ready to attack Israel and U.S. bases, and it says it won't wait around to be hit first. That's the warning coming straight from Tehran. Iran is saying if it sees real signs of a strike, troop movement, military prep, or outside pressure, it will move before anything lands. This isn't a threat for headlines. This is a shift in how Iran says it will respond. Iran's Defense Council made it clear. Waiting until after an attack is no longer the rule. Even strong signals can now be treated as hostile. In simple terms, Iran is saying don't test our limits. This message is aimed directly at Israel and Washington, as pressure builds around Iran's leadership under Ali Khamenei, and tensions across the region keep rising. Here's where things get risky. When both sides believe the other might strike first, every move gets misread. Defensive steps look offensive, warnings sound like countdowns, and decisions get rushed. Add to that what's already happening. U.S. bases across the region, Israel staying on high alert, and conflicts nearby that can spill over fast. This isn't about speeches anymore. It's about timing. One wrong call, one bad signal, and things can move faster than anyone expects. Right now, it's not about who wants a fight. It's about who decides they can't afford to wait anymore.
Did you all see Donald Trump's post? everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. That's not just some tweet. That's a warning, a historic warning from a sitting U.S. president. And it's not empty words. Right now, 2 U.S. aircraft carrier strike groups are heading straight towards the Middle East. We're talking Super Hornets, Growlers, advanced surveillance craft, all locked and loaded, ready to go. Trump told Iran, sign the deal or face consequences, and they didn't. And now, Tehran might be staring down the barrel of the most powerful military in history. He's been saying it for years. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And while Biden played around, pretending in Delaware, Trump's laying out a strategy like a master tactician. This isn't just policy, this is 4D chess, and Iran missed their move big time. The question now is, will they fold, or will this spiral out into a full-on war? Either way, Trump warned them, and now history is being written in real time. Buckle up, because this could get wild.
It looks like the U.S. military has rolled out a secret sonic type of a weapon that was used in Venezuela. As we're getting word from soldiers that were on the ground that they had witnessed people around them and even themselves experiencing bleeding of the nose, vomiting blood, and it was as if some of the individuals were exploding on the inside of their head, inside of their bodies, and it's some kind of unknown sonic type of weapon that they believe has been used here. And this has them scared big time, because they say there's weaponry and there's moves, there's tactics that was used by the American soldiers that they've never seen before. And that this is why they were able to come in with a small unit of like 20 guys initially. They came in, they had a lot of support on the outside, but 20 guys came in tactically, guns a-blazing, after they shut the lights out on them and they hit them with this sonic type of weapon, this mystery weapon. Again, it dropped everybody to their knees. Anybody that did not drop got smoked, got hit by bullets, and taken out rather quickly. Soon after, they say dozens of drones and a small number of helicopters appeared. So whatever they released in the atmosphere, it came either from a weapon that exploded in the sky or a ship or something they had on the ground pointed in that area, potentially even off of a drone. At this point, we did see a stealth drone in action. It was caught on the horizon, had no lights, but you could see it was U.S. military stealth drone assets in the area. Those things can be equipped with all kinds of weaponry. So where it came from exactly, we don't know. We'll probably never know for sure. But they've got the weapon. This mystery weapon that can leave these guys incapacitated and bleeding from every orifice in their body, it seems like. And they can't explain what it is besides saying it's some type of mystery sonic weapon. So if they deploy this elsewhere, it'd be interesting to see what goes down and if we can get a bead on how they're deploying the thing. But Iran, Cuba, Mexico, all these places catching threats from Trump. Who's going to get it next? Only time will tell. I'll leave a link. Join me for the live streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
A security guard that was protecting Maduro has spoken, and you got to hear what he said. It's in Spanish, but I'll translate. Also, Trump announced that, the cartels, they're going after him in Mexico. The whole vibe of Latin America has changed because of what happened in Venezuela. And now that we're getting firsthand accounts from people that were there, the soldier says they didn't hear him coming. He says the Americans had technology superior to anything they've ever seen. Everything that they were using for radar, for anything, was completely taken offline. They had drones, and the drones were taking out bases and taking out things faster. They didn't have no technology. They've never had to fight against drones. He also talks about that there was only 8 helicopters. There was only 20 men that were sent in. And those 20 men killed hundreds of their men. And none of those soldiers were injured. He talks about it felt like they were firing 300 rounds a minute. nothing they've ever seen, nothing that they can compete with. And then he also talks to the fact that the Americans had some kind of sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't even gather themselves because whatever was sent at them made them fall to their knees and vomit blood out of their mouth and out of their noses. They were incapacitated immediately. He says he never wants to go through that again. Doesn't want to have to fight with the Americans again. He's sending warnings to everybody out there that you think you can fight the Americans. You don't even know what their weaponry is like and what they're capable of. 20 men took out hundreds, and that's starting to spread all through Latin America. And now they're not saying, if you want me, come and get me anymore. They're like, oh shit. Especially after Trump says, hey, Mexico, you're on the list too.
You're not from America. Russia is threatening to strike the American Navy if they do not release the Russian hostages taken from a seized oil tanker in international waters. Hours ago, the U.S. Navy seized a Russian oil ship in the Arctic, taking the crew hostage. And the White House press secretary just said anyone on the ship will be put to trial in the United States. The ship with Russian citizens on board was in international waters, departing to Russia. The leader of the Russian parliament said this, quote, to attack with torpedoes to sink a couple of American Coast Guard boats. I think the United States is in a kind of euphoria of impunity after the special operation in Venezuela, which can only be stopped now with a click on the nose. The Russians did send their navy to protect and escort the ship back to Russia, but the Americans boarded the ship anyway and risked a nuclear war over oil. And now the U.S. will be putting the Russian citizens on trial, with the Russian government saying if the hostages are not immediately returned to Russia, there will be dire consequences. Comment your thoughts. Follow me for the newest.
The Lord is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them, they sank into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And in thy greatness of thine excellency thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils the waves were gathered together. The flood stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw up my sword, my hand shall destroy them. Thou didst blow with thy wind, the sea covered them. They sank as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto thee, O Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Thou stretchest out thy right hand, and earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestina. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take a hold upon them. And all the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of thine arm. They shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over, O Yahweh, till thy people pass over which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thy inheritance, in the place, O Yahweh, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Yahweh, which thy hands have established. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall reign forever and ever. Shalom, all praises, glory, honor, and fear to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai B'ha Kodash Rakah. That belongs to elders, those that came before us, and citation to the elect. House of David, 144,000, and also the women, the helps, the wives, sisters that also blessing and following and obeying this gospel, new covenant, and fulfilling God's law. Shalom. So as you can see, these are all the updates about what's going on in the world with this third world war that we are currently battling in, and in these past couple days, I've noticed with my sleep that, I have having sweat, hot, waking up sweating, what I'm saying, which is abnormal. And it's all because of the signs of the times, the pressure, the heat. And like the Lord said, it's high time to wake up out of sleep because our redemption is closer than what we ever believed it is. So it's important in these times to be in solidarity, be in silence, be in quiet, reading the scriptures, meditating on prophecies, and so you don't be taken as a thief. You don't be taken unawares, So you see what's happening with these nations and these kings is that the people all across the world are starting to rise up. The European Union and NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, they're being divided. Trump and America want to take Greenland, and then they're saying they're going to defend it, and they're not agreeing with them, and just so on and so forth. All these kings, they're all fighting against each other. America has stolen Russian oil tankers, and now Russia is threatening America that they're going to take their oil tankers. This is all a third world war, But people that are carnally minded, they need to physically see nuclear missiles in the sky to say, oh, we're in the third world war. But by then it's too late, So that's why the Lord said in Romans 8, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So these are definitely times of Yahushua's return. So this is Mark 13 and verse 5 says, and Yahushua answering them began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. So these are all the beginning of the sorrows, you know what I'm saying? And we see all these prophecies taking place in the world right now. And the main famine that's taking place is a famine of the word. Majority of people are cut off from hearing the word of God, the truth, the real prophets. So in these last days, if you're able to hear and see what we're saying and doing, you're truly blessed. You're truly blessed. So the third world war is coming quickly and speedily, and it's here. It's happening. And in the midst of these kingdoms fighting and at war right now, this is when Yahushua is going to make his return. This is the 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, in verse... Right, let's go right to the point. All right, so this is 2nd Ezra 13 and verse 32. It says, I'll start with 31. It says, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, and one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. You have the people all across the world. You have in America, Babylon, United States. There's a bunch of U.S. citizens rising up in protests and in uproar and against ICE, against deportation and people being murdered and mistreated and so on and so forth. Iran as well. You have the people out there protesting and fighting against the Islamic regime, right? And that religion and the oppression that is taking place over there. Thousands of people have already been arrested. Thousands of people have already been killed. And you literally have another thing that proves that we're in the third world war right now is that you have African people fighting in the war of Russia and Ukraine. You also had North Koreans fighting in the war right now with Russia and Ukraine. There's videos surfacing right now of African men, fighting for Russia, right? That's Gog and Magog being in defense to Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, right? says, and the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I have showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. You see, so Ukraine's gonna stop fighting Russia. Russia's gonna stop fighting Ukraine. America is going to stop fighting Venezuela. Venezuela is going to stop fighting America, and so on and so forth. Israel's going to stop fighting Iran. Iran's going to stop fighting Israel, right? It says, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. So they're going to try to fight Yahushai. They're going to try to fight the what they call extraterrestrials and what they call aliens and what they call UFOs. They're going to try to fight the Lord. And that's why with that introduction video of the sonic device weaponry that the U.S. has and what they use on Venezuelans, where they were bleeding from their nose and vomiting blood, the Lord is the one that gave them those weapons of devices. But the thing is, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai has weaponry that are superior to Esau and Edom's weaponry, right? And that's what you have to understand. It says, but he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Sion, and Sion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest a hill graven without hands. This is the third temple. This is the elect, 144,000. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts in the torments where they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me. You see, the law. So let's go to the book of Revelation 6, because Esau, right, they came out red all over. Lord prophesied that there'd be two nations in our foremother Rebecca womb, right? She had Jacob, she had Esau, and she had Jacob. Two nations in her womb, not one nation. And it's heavy, even in the Constitution says one nation under God. Esau is not under God. Esau is under the devil. Revelation 6 and verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red. And it's heavy. They call in this year, the new year, the real one in the spring, like March, February, March, April. They're calling it the year of the horse. Yahushua is coming back on a horse, right? And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword, right? Great weapon, great devices, great power to take peace away from the earth, that there be no peace, because there's no peace for the wicked. They cannot rest. They're not at ease. They're not satisfied. They're not okay. You see, their spirit that's in them is not right, as it says in Habakkuk chapter 2. Right, so this is definitely the time of the judgments aforetold. And even all them Iranians and Persians, they're chanting, oh, this is the last battle. This is the last battle. They're fighting against the corruption of their government. And it's just, there's so much levels of evil that are coming out in these last days. And the righteous, the light, this truth is what's going to withstand and going to endure, and what is going to win in the end. You see? This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 22. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, right? A trap. And that's what's happening. There's a trap for them in the Middle East. There's a trap for them in South America. There's a trap for them in Europe. There's a trap for them in the Arctic, the North. The same way Rome fell is the same way American is going to fall. They were stretched out. Their military was stretched out thin. their economy, their denarii was being depleted more and more. The same thing's happening now. You know, there's gonna be a civil war in America. There's gonna be a world war throughout all the world, and everyone's going to be affected by what's happening. That's why it says in Revelation, all the shipmasters stood afar off and wept and howled for the judgment of Babylon, because they were made rich. That's how they made their livelihood. But now once America's finally judged and destroyed by the Lord, ultimately, they're no longer going to have that. It's going to be over with. And Yahushua is going to come back and bring judgment and justice. So it says, I have laid a snare for thee, thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. Yahweh hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of Yahweh, power of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. You see, so the word of the Lord is not returning unto him void. It's accomplishing and doing what the Lord set it out for it to do. This is the book of Nahum 1 and verse 14. And Yahweh hath given a commandment concerning thee, that no more of thy name be sown. Out of the house of thy gods will I cut off thy graven image and the molten image. I will make thy grave, for thou art vile. Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast. Perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off, right? So there's no more wisdom in Esau. They have no more wisdom. And the only way a nation or a person can rule is with wisdom. So without wisdom, you cannot rule. So the wicked deeds are bearing no power. That's why they're not going to regard their kings nor princes. No one's regarding their kings and presidents anymore. There's protests, there's uproars, because this is the end. This is the end of tyranny, of corruption, of oppression. This is the end of all these things. You know, and they're not going to win. They're not going to succeed in their new world order and what they want to do. They want to make all Israelites and all the people of the world slaves, and they want, you know, to live like kings. It's coming to an end. Their time is short. Their time is short. Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 9. For inquisition shall be made into the counsels of ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come unto the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. You see? So like the Lord said, her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Lord has remembered, easy remembering the daughter of Babylon, Esau. You know, that's why we haven't been given the spirit of fear, but of sound mind and of love. You know? Second Ezra 7 and verse 30. In the world, 32, it says, and the earth shall restore those that are asleep in her, and so shall the dust those that dwell in silence, and the secret places shall deliver the souls that were committed unto them. And the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment. And this is going into Revelation as well, where the souls that are under the altar are begging the Lord, how long shall this endure, you know? It says, and misery shall pass away, and the long suffering shall have an end. But judgment only shall remain, truth shall stand, and faith shall wax strong, and the work shall follow, and the reward shall be showed, and good deeds shall be of force, and wicked deeds shall bear no rule. You see that? So their rulership, their kingdom upon the whole world is falling in real time. We're witnessing it. And it's heavy because the Lord said there's nothing better for a man to see the fall of his enemies. And we're seeing the fall of the enemy, which is sin and death, which that's what America and Babylon and the heathens of the world, that's what they promote. You know, And it's heavy, like with what's happening in Iran, which is ancient Persia. It's like the Bible, like truth, is fighting against, and the people is fighting against false prophets and false religion as Islam. That has nothing to do with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's hypocrisy. So this is, matter of fact, let's go to Revelation. Let's go to Revelation. Let's read how the souls are praying to the Lord. All right, so this is Revelation 6 and 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls in them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. You see, so there's certain things that need to be fulfilled. There's gonna be some of us that have to be put to death for this truth, and then there's also some of us gonna be put into prison for this truth, for speaking the Yahweh Bashim Yashai and prophecy, and prophesying against the dragon, the beast, and his image and his mark, the vaccines. And then there's also some of us that's not even going to taste death, that's not even going to die. So that's the glory that's being revealed in these last days, with all these things coming to pass and being exposed and revealed. You know? So it's also go to Revelation, because they make fire come down from heaven. And that's why people, they look at Esau as God and they fear him, and they don't fear God. You know what I'm saying? The real power, the Yahweh Bashim Yashai of the earth. So this is Revelation 3:13 and verse 13. And I'll start verse 12. It says, and he, 11, Revelation 13:11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, right? So they act like they're Christians. They say, oh, we're bombing Nigeria because we're saving Christians. You know what I'm saying? They act like they're the good guys, you see? But they speak as a dragon, right? They draconian laws, right? And he exercises all power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed, right? They worship the first beast, meaning they worship that first kingdom, which was Rome, Esau's image, Esau being looked at as a god and like the best of all nations, right? And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. You see? So like the Lord said, we die daily because we follow the Lord. We don't follow man. 1 Corinthians 15:30, and why stand we in jeopardy every hour? I protest by your rejoicing which I have in Yahweh Shai Mashiach, our Lord, I die daily. You see that? I die daily. So, you know, I was looking at land, you know, land in other countries and so on and so forth, but they make it so hard. They make it so difficult just to leave Babylon the Great. You know what I'm saying? So this is definitely a prison. This is definitely a prison of people's souls and spirit, you know? And that's why the earth is in such disarray right now. This is Isaiah 14 in verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness, right? Confusion, no order, and destroy the cities thereof. That's what they do. That open not the house of his prisoners, right? They don't open the house of the prisoners. You know? The whole world is in captivity right now, under the devil, under the dragon, under the heathen. And that's why the whole earth is mourning right now. You know? So let's go to Ezekiel 7 and 26. It says, mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision by the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest and counsel from the ancients. And we're seeing that. Guys don't have the law written on their heart. They're not fulfilling the law. They're not in the new covenant. They're denying it. They're rejecting it. You see? And that's why Yahushua said they're not rejecting you. They're not denying you. They're denying me. Heavy. Jeremiah 51 and 46. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come in 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler, right? We're seeing that. And that's why a lot of people are very fearful in this time. This is 2 Ezra 6 and verse 23. And the trumpet shall give a sound, right, at the last trump, right? Donald Trump, this is his last term, and he's saying this is the last Christmas. It's the last election, you know? He's the king of Babylon. He's, you know what I mean? Heavy. He's been anointed to fulfill God's prophecy and his will on the earth, heavy, with his pride, right? And his riches, right? And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, right? Europe gonna fight against America. The beast shall hate the whore and eat her and burn her with fire. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whoso remaineth from all these I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. You see, we're going to see the end of this world. You know? And let's also go to Revelation chapter 8 and verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe. That's three wars, the Third World War, to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound. So these sounds are definitely being made, you know. Revelation 1 and 10, I was in the spirit of Yahweh's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. You see, as of a trumpet. So this is the spirit of the Lord speaking and is manifesting in these last days. The Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he's mustering the battle. This is Armageddon. This is Yahweh Shabbat. This is the Third World War. We're seeing it all come together here now. The Lord said, the bright arrows, and none of them shall return in vain. This is the book of 2 Ezra 16 and verse 12 says, the earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. You see? Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. You see? And the last plague with those that fight against Jerusalem is that their eyes shall consume away in their eyes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Right? The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. So this is definitely what we've been waiting for. And as a watchman, we're sounding the alarm. We're letting it be known that the sword is upon the earth now, you know, and to set your house in order in these times. All praises, glory, honor, fity, how bashim yal shabbat, kodash rekah, repent. This kingdom is coming to its demise. It's being judged, and the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of heaven, is very, very near and nigh at hand. So just endure and be strong. Pray, fast, and be occupied in prophecies. Shalom.